Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those cats were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening, but it fought with expert timing. There was Funky Chinaman from Funky Chinatown. They were chopping them up, they were chopping them down. We tried to lighten it up a bit so you know. And everybody knew their part, from a fainting to a slip and a kicking from the hip. Everybody was a kung fu fighting. Those guys were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. Hey, yeah. But it was with expert timing. There was Funky Billy Chin and Little Sammy Chung. He said, "Here comes the big boss. Where? Let's get it on." We took a bow and made a stand. Started swaying with the hand. A sudden motion made me skip. Now we're into a brand new trip. Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those cats were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening, but they did it with expert timing. Ho, 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 ho! Hoo, ha! Ho, 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 ho! Hoo, ha! Everybody was kung fu fighting. Huh. Those cats were fast as lightning. Huh. That was a little bit frightening. Huh. But it was with expert timing. Huh. Oh, yeah!
Kung Fu Fighting was recorded at Nova Studios in Marble Arch, which is pretty much the center of London, and it used to get a great sound. And it was also close to my house, which helped. We planned to go into the studio and cut 2 tracks. And I'd found a song from America, which I thought was a humdinger. I thought, yeah, this is great. And I rehearsed it with Carl, and then I needed a B-side, something to put on the other side of the single. And Carl said, he said, I've got this idea, I've got these lyrics. And he said it's Kung Fu Fighting, which, didn't at that time mean anything special to me,
The idea came to me one night after watching 2 youngsters outside a pinball alley where there was some music playing and kids playing hand football, all different kind of things, and they were teeing off with each other. And I thought, everybody's kung fu fighting. And I was with some friends who remarked, yes, there's all these Bruce Lee films. There's the television series with Carradine, Chuck Norris, Jim Kelly, all these guys. I said, yeah. We realized there's no music about it. Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. But they fought kung fu fighting. That's what it is. Kung fu fighting. And the afternoon, I called a couple of friends who play guitar, so I only play percussive instruments, and showed them the idea, and they were laughing and saying, what? You got all this? And I said, yeah. I said, it was like a vision. And then the things kept coming into my head. I said, what were you on? I said, a good high. But do you think this thing could work? And they said, just a bit above them. And I said, try to get me a chord structure. I'll sing all the little bits to you, and you sort of write some chords down. And
he said, it goes, whoa, and we went, oh, come on, Carl, don't muck about. Please, you know, be serious about it. What we're really going to do? And he went, no, you look. And he started doing these movements, and we started to laugh. And we said, I guess it got all our spirits up because we thought it was a joke.
The day came about that we sat down with an arranger called, God rest his soul, he passed away, Jerry Shurey. And Jerry was very into Tamla Motown, so was Bidoo. But they didn't have any idea of how you structured that kind of rhythm and blues music. So I started to explain to them how it went. And he said, let me hear this thing. So then Bidoo got out his little guitar, which I think you've seen.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those cats were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening, but they did it with expert timing. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Obviously, it's no voice compared to Carl, but that's how we probably went about it, you know. And here and there, he must have been checking out his melody, and I must have been checking out, trying to work out chords and this thing and that thing.
And Jerry was sitting there with some sheet music, and some pencils, and he was laughing his head off. He couldn't stop cracking up. He said, how would it start? And I said, oh, 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 oh. I said, my God. And I said, and can you imagine Charlie Chan like coming out of a smoke or something, or a swarm of bees? He said, yeah, but how would you get bees? So I said, can we use the strings? Like, like this. He said, yes, that's amazing. Go on, support. It was a little bit frightening, but it was with expert timing.
I had a drummer who I didn't use too often, called John Richardson from the Rubettes. And it's a good thing I had John, because John played the drums much tougher than any of the other session musicians that I normally used. And I mixed Kung Fu Fighting with the bass drum, very prominent, which we didn't do in those days, but I don't know what made me do it, but it was done. And thank God we had John Richardson, because when he kicked that bass drum, it just came out loud, you know.
In those days, I guess it's become very run-of-the-mill now, but in those days we used to do the 16s on the hi-hat like this, and 4 on the bar and the bass drum. Very, very simple. And the way we went, it was... Basically, that was all it was, really. 16 quid and that was finished.
And I spent most of my time doing the original A-side, this American song I'd found. And I spent about 20 minutes doing Kung Fu Fighting, which was going to be the B-side. And because it was going to be the B-side, we had a lot of fun doing the h's and the ha's and, you know, all that kind of stuff, because it didn't matter, you know, who was going to listen to it. It was going to be on the B-side, so we can go a little bit over the top.
I guess in about 5 minutes it was done. And, you know, that was the last we heard of it, really. The other 3 tracks, I think they disappeared without trace. But that one which we were taking the mickey out of and saying, oh, yeah, this is so silly, you know, that actually became a worldwide smash.
And I mixed it, and I mixed my potential A-side, and I mixed the B-side. And I took it to the record company, and I played them the A-side. They said, yeah, it's great, lovely, lovely. And they said, what's on the B-side? I said, yeah, it's just a song called Kung Fu Fighting. It's for the B-side. He said, can I listen to it? I said, yeah, just, yeah. I said, but it's okay. And he heard it, and he said, this is great. This should be the A-side. I said, but it only took me 20 minutes to do it. He said, doesn't matter, it sounds great. So I said, do you think we can sell 15, 20,000 copies? He said, I'm sure we can sell about 20,000 copies, because at that time, that was my criteria. You know, if we can sell 20,000, we're covered. And I said, okay, fine, let's bring out Kung Fu Fighting as a single.
It charted first in England, and then America, and then just started to spread very quietly, and then just exploded.
Internationally, it went, it was the biggest selling record of that year in America. It sold, I don't know if it sold 3 or 4 million copies that year in America. It went to #1 everywhere. There was not a place that it didn't touch. And when it hit, it went to #1. Total sales, I believe, is about 9 million, but you can never believe everything a record company tells you.
Well, everyone used to get £16 for those days, for 3 hours. We used to say, when we saw Bidoo, hey, come on, where's our extra money? Come on, you know, you got millions of pounds and we've only got 16 quid. But we were used to that bit. We played on so many hit records in '73 that, and we saw so many other people become, you know, successful. We were just used to that. That's what session men did. So we just had a bit of fun with him, you know. Come on, you're tight. Give us some money. Come on. Have some pity on the colonials.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. That was a little bit frightening, but they did with expert timing. Oh, dance for kung fu. I tell you what to do. Dance for kung fu. Y'all, dance for kung fu. That's all I do. Dance for kung fu. You put your hand to the hand, then you make a little stand. You chop and you dip. You back up.
So when you look back on it, if you analyze the song, there are many ingredients, but it wouldn't have meant anything with those lyrics, I'll tell you that. Because the lyrics were somehow, he got it right. You know, there was funky Chinamen and funky Chinatown. They were chopping them here, they were chopping them down. They were great lines.